All right, well, thanks for coming in. We'll be in touch. Hello, my name is Eldon Wiggett. I'm a consumer specialist at H. Douglas Singer Mental Health Center. I work for the Illinois Department of Human Services through the Office of Mental Health. I'm also a person who has a history of mental illness. We're about to explore the option of people with psychiatric disabilities returning to the workforce. For us, as for many other people in society, work is connected to our self-esteem, our economic security, and our sense of fitting into the community. Work gives people a reason to get up each day. It gives value to a person's time and is of benefit to others as well as to ourselves. However, for many people with psychiatric disabilities, returning to work is not always an option. For many, time away from work has led to a lowered self-esteem, and many feel of less worth to society. Many fear they might get sick again while on the job, lose their benefits, or even lose the job itself. Yet people with mental illnesses that do work say that working is an important part of their recovery process.
It is estimated that 3 million Americans have a mental illness. In Illinois, there are approximately 110,000 people with mental illness receiving disability benefits. Approximately 80% are unemployed, and most of these people want to work.
Department of Human Services, may I help you?
As we've said, work plays a valuable part in the recovery process. Yet, for these Americans, work has not been a viable option.
Hey, Joe, how's it going?
Oh, hi, Fred. Get yourself a cup of coffee. Come on in.
Oh, thanks.
12 plus 10 minus 5.
Trying to pay bills?
Yeah, man. I need a magic wand or get a job or something. No matter how hard I budget, you know, the money it's never there at the end of the month.
Think you're ready to go back to work?
Oh, man. What if I get sick or start having symptoms on the job?
Yeah, I know how you feel. I was pretty scared at first, too. But there's this new thing called the Work Incentives Improvement Act, and it eased a lot of my fears.
What's that?
Well, it's a new law that provides more insurance coverage for workers with a disability. Now you can keep your Medicare Part A hospitalization for up to 8.5 years after you start working.
Wow.
Yeah. And you can keep Medicare Part B outpatient too if you need it. I was lucky. My employer gave me some health insurance benefits, so I didn't have to have it.
But what if I should start having symptoms on the job?
Hey, relax. I don't have any more symptoms at work than I did when I was at home. And when I do have a bad day, I use those symptom management techniques I learned. When that doesn't work, I can always say I don't feel well and go home, just like anybody else who doesn't feel well at work and has to go home. But I don't stop working on it. I keep trying.
You know, I'm not going to stop working at it either, but what if I should get sick and my coworkers see it and make fun of me? Man, they can be mean.
Well, tell your supervisor what they're doing to you.
I've been down that road. What if he doesn't listen?
Well, tell your supervisor again, or go tell his supervisor. If that doesn't work, you could go talk to Human Resources or Employee Assistance. And if that still doesn't help, there are some agencies in the community that deal with discrimination. You know, when people make fun of you or when they harass you on the job, it's It's not only wrong, Joe. It's against the law.
Thanks, Fred. I'm going to remember that.
Discrimination in the workplace is a major barrier to employment for people with mental illness. The stigma associated with mental illness is pervasive and shared equally by all segments of society. Broadcast and printed materials often portray inaccurate and sensational aspects of mental illness. These attitudes and images are practices of prejudice that cause barriers to work and community living for people with the label of mental illness.
My son Joe's two biggest problems are dealing with people's name-calling, like crazy, nuts, or loony, and holding down a job because people are afraid. Number one, simply because someone has a mental illness doesn't mean they don't have feelings, and words hurt. Number two, newspapers, TV, and movies don't help. They portray all mentally ill as being violent, and that's simply not true. My son Joe would never hurt anybody. People need to understand that mental illness is treatable. It's just like diabetes or high blood pressure. If you take the right medication, you can live a full and productive life with your family, at work, at school, your church, and your community. People do recover from mental illness. I only hope that someday people understand it.
Family support in vocational development is important to helping people achieve their employment goals. When someone with mental illness is looking for work, family support is very important. The family needs to be involved in this process. Their love and encouragement can be an essential ingredient.
I'm upset, Carl. It's about Joe. He's been trying so hard to find a job, and he keeps getting turned down. He's either overqualified, or he's been out of work too long because of his disability. Nobody wants to hire him. He feels like he's answering ads and going on job interviews for nothing.
Julie Annie's in the same place. She's made multiple attempts to get work. Hasn't worked out. She's feeling depressed about it. As parents, you know, there's only so much counsel we can give, and so I referred her to a caseworker who will give her the support and teach her about the process that she needs to go through. And I think ultimately she will have a job coach who will be able to go to work with her and help her on the job to be successful.
That sounds like a good idea. I'll mention it to Joe. He could sure use some good advice right now.
Okay. And what we can do is give them support. You know that it'll be best if he makes the decision about what he wants to do. And so our best decision is to give them love and support while they're going through this.
A job coach is one way to support people with psychiatric disabilities achieve employment goals. People with psychiatric disabilities who have a desire to work and a positive attitude have a better chance of getting a job. If they get a job they like, they'll probably keep it longer. However, there still might be barriers to overcome.
Oh. Yeah! Yeah!
All right. Great. So, Joe, think any more about going back to work? We're taking applications down at the plant for second shift. I could put in a good word for you.
No, I don't think so. Not right now.
Joel's worried about what he'd wear to the interview.
Oh, I could sure understand that. When I was looking for a job, I went to a lot of yard sales and thrift shops. I didn't want to look bad either.
I love yard sales. You'd be surprised at the nice clothes you can pick up for $1 or 50 cents.
That's where I got this.
Oh. And you look very nice, too.
Thank you.
Don't encourage her.
You know, another problem I had was figuring out transportation.
That's a tough one. You could take a cab, but that runs up a lot of money fast.
Cabs are expensive.
And riding a bike doesn't work too well when it's cold.
But you can do it when the weather's nice, because I did.
And it gave me a chance to get a couple of extra paychecks before I had to start paying for a ride.
That's an idea. Yeah.
If we lived in the city, you could take a bus or a train.
Well, you can always walk.
Walk!
It's good exercise.
But after an 8-hour shift, it's an awfully long walk.
Yeah, that's for sure.
We could carpool, especially if we're on the same shift, of course.
Carpool?
Oh, that's a great idea.
A lot of people carpool. You could share the ride, save money. A lot of people do it.
Especially with the price of gas.
It's a lot cheaper than calling a cab.
Oh, yeah.
I don't mind paying the few extra bucks for a cab. I'm always worried my ride isn't going to show up.
Well, thanks a lot, Annie.
I didn't mean you, Fred.
So, Joe, what do you think about that?
Okay. When can I pick up the application, Fred?
All right.
Hiring people with mental illness or psychiatric disability is good for America. Good for America.
Many people with mental illness want to work. They're an untapped resource. Not only do they have a desire to work, but they're talented people with varying abilities. They have much to offer to the American way of life, much like people without disabilities. Anyone can develop a mental illness. According to the Surgeon General's report, 1 in 5 Americans will experience a period of mental illness at some point in their life. People with mental illnesses are no more dangerous than the general population. There is no reason for them to be isolated from society or to lose their jobs. To lessen stigma and discrimination, it's important to think and to talk about mental illness in the same manner we do other illnesses. We must educate as we promote mental health in the community. We must provide high-quality support and treatment services when people become ill, and again as they're encouraged to return to daily activities, including employment. It is our hope that the message in this video will help you understand that many people with psychiatric disabilities do want to work, and that work is beneficial to recovery. Although work is only part of the recovery process, it's an important part. Benefits assistance and planning is available as one way to help people plan for entering the workforce. With the proper supports, many barriers can be broken down, making the transition to employment more successful, giving people with psychiatric disabilities opportunities to become productive members of society.